Hello, my name is Grace Wanyura, and welcome back to Horse Pro, the channel that advocates the use of practical techniques and exercises to help the amateur rider and the budding professional get the most out of themselves and their equine partners with the least resistance. Today's topic and exercise is how to use an octagon to learn to ride the perfect circle. Today's demo rider is Mary-Anne Higgins. She is an adult amateur that trains with Joanna Buston from Dunnottar Farm in Port Perry, Ontario. She will be riding her 3.5-year-old Dutch warmblood, Ricoh. I'd like to take this moment to thank them for all the time that they gave me. And before we get on to the video and the demo exercise, I would like to ask you to like and subscribe and to share if you find anything of value in today's video and if you'd like to see more. There are two difficulties in making the perfect circle. One, our understanding of how the horse physically and mentally can perform this shape. And two, the most widely used methods to teach riders to circle do not work and actually create a hindrance in the long run for both horse and rider development. Before we can ride the perfect circle, we have to understand a couple of things. The horse's shoulder moves in front of our leg and its hind end moves behind our leg. The rib cage, for the most part, is flat against our leg as there is only minimal space between the ribs to bend. The rib cage does not have the range of motion to be an accordion. This spine length between the front and back legs make the horse a quadruped and creates a lot of difficulty for many riders and humans who are bipeds as we stand upright on two limbs. The horse always wants to push itself forward naturally, but we as bipeds tend to want to ride what we see ahead of us rather than what we feel behind us, especially in the early stages of learning to ride. This human two-legged viewpoint of a circle means many riders and instructors think a horse travels with its legs inside of the shape they are trying to create, needing containment, which then often leads to the horse being pulled by the inside rein to try to create a circle. A horse, since it naturally would prefer to push itself forward, carrying its front end, rather than pull itself forward, needs its two hind legs carrying equal weight in order to feel balanced and safe. As you see in this image, a circle is actually performed physically by the horse as if it were straddling an imaginary line. This ensures equal weight balance on each hind leg. Understanding these few points helps us to see in this image why incorporating an octagon will allow us to ride the perfect circle. If we take the premise of the horse straddling the imaginary line of our circle, we see there are actually 8 micro-turns, not one long pulling turn, that are needed to push the horse to create a balanced circle. These micro-turns create a pause moment when the leg riding the horse forward pushes the horse into a balancing rein so the rider's outer leg can aid in turning the horse from both hind legs, with minimal gentle assistance of the inside rein. This pause moment at each of the 8 micro-turns allows the rider to stay in sync with the horse's balance and turn timing. Now, let's move on to the demo. Many of us have been taught to swivel our heads to look directly into the center of the circle we are attempting, either looking at a person or worse, an imaginary dot on the ground. This is a completely flawed exercise as it teaches the rider improper balance, pulling to turn, and to look down. For the horse, it teaches them to move past your outside leg and push through a half halt completely off balance. As a rider looks directly into the center of their attempted shape, they inadvertently lean in, thereby pushing the horse outwards. In response, a rider usually then pulls the inside rein in an attempt to regain control of the circle, sending the horse onto its forehand. Now we have gone from a horse pushing itself to one pulling itself. This type of exercise teaches the rider to lean and pull through a turn rather than push through a turn. Moreover, part of the horse's imbalance on the circle comes from its inability to turn as quickly with its body as the rider is turning their head. The rider is basically hustling the horse along. Again, as a human who stands upright, when we ride, our heels support our hips support our shoulders, and our shoulders support our head, all in one line. So when we look so acutely inward, our body is turning faster than the horse is able to in order to adapt to our center of balance. We must be reminded that we are sitting on the portion of the horse equivalent to our torso. This torso adjoins the two turning points of the horse, the shoulders and its hindquarters. We can only, therefore, turn our head in equal increments to the size of circle to be performed. These head turns should happen at every micro turn of an envisioned octagon. Looking to the center and pulling on the inside rein simply allows the horse's hind end to swivel and creates a lack of control. Now let's take a good look at how to set up the octagon exercise. First, let's get a few sets of pylons. You will need 8 individual pylons or 4 sets. Place 2 pylons about 6 to 8 feet apart. The space between should be wide enough that a horse can pass through safely with a bit of room to either side of them for some adaptation. Put the other 3 sets along the circle as if you were cutting the circle into quarters. The imaginary line the horse will straddle as it moves forward should take you through all 4 sets of pylons. In the video demo coming shortly, I have used 4 sets to create the turning apex of our octagon. You certainly could use 16 individual pylons or 8 sets to outline each micro turn for a very novice rider or a very green horse, although 4 sets will naturally create the shape of an octagon as the rider navigates one set of pylons to the next. Whether you use 4 or 8 sets of pylons, the goal of the exercise remains the same. While traveling forward, guide the horse through each set of pylons, attempting to remain in the center of each set as you move along the octagon pattern. Sounds simple. It can be. Understated? Certainly. Does it work to create the perfect circle? Most definitely. Let's take a look at why and what actually happens during this octagon circle exercise. The rider will need to use both legs to ride the horse's body straight from one set of cones to the next. As they get to each set of pylons, they will need to keep the horse moving forward with both legs, yet use a light, even pressure on both reins as they get to each set of pylons to help the horse's body collect lightly or create a pause moment prior to our micro turn. During this slight pause, or in another explanation, the beginnings of a natural and correct half halt, the rider will turn their head only slightly to the next set of pylons and not enough to unbalance the horse. Then increase the outside leg pressure and a little more rein pressure to manage the turn. Then back to an even or neutral leg to hand ride as the horse's body straightens again for a moment before the pair encounter the next set of pylons. This perfectly places the rider in a continually balanced position on the horse, creates a situation where they learn to keep both legs on into both reins and naturally begin to use some aids with increased pressure as needed. Basically, it teaches both horse and rider the 4 core principles of all riding and training. 1, the inside leg is the ultimate gas pedal or driving force of motion for the horse. 2, the boundary of the outside leg for straightness and balance. 3, the indicator or direction of the inside rein without allowing it to dominate. 4, the balancing effect of the outside rein and the importance of riding forward into balance rather than pulling to balance. The short increments between each set of pylons makes it easy for a horse and rider to focus on a small goal, thereby taking away a sense of urgency or panic. The short increments also make balance a priority, which will give the horse and rider more control and thus confidence. The visual aid of the pylons make it easy for a rider to know which aid they may need to increase to execute the pattern correctly. For instance, if they remove their outside leg and the horse drifts past a set of pylons, or if they pull too much on the inside rein, the horse turns too quickly to the inside, missing the next set of pylons. And if they do not execute a slight balance at a set of pylons, they may not make a turn and exit our octagon. All of these situations are corrected by simply re-entering our octagon circle and trying again. With a more novice horse or rider, it may take many go-arounds to understand and utilize all the aids to ride a perfect circle. Be patient. Training and try again is the key. With a more seasoned rider or horse who needs refurbishment of their aids, a perfect circle may be achieved rather swiftly with this wonderful exercise. And now here we see the result of using an octagon to create a perfect circle. The rider is no longer swiveling their head to the inside in an attempt to remain in control of their attempted shape. Since they are now riding the theory of an octagon to create a circle, their body is balanced rather than leaning as their head only looks to the next micro turn. They naturally have become focused on the straightness of the horse's body and its balance. Both of their legs are in use as they ride both sides of the horse straight into a balanced set of reins. Notice the inside rein now has no need to pull the horse around in an attempt to circle, and the rider is using only a small pressure to help guide the direction in which she would like to go. The outside rein remains with light contact throughout, offering constant guidance for pace control and balance. Both horse and rider look calm and confident rather than disorganized and flummoxed. And although this now looks like a circle to our eyes, the rider is actually focused on riding the octagon exercise, using the 8 micro turns continually to keep control, balance, and timing of her circle. This octagon exercise works for every level of rider and horse in every discipline. Thank you so much for watching. Happy training. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you would like more content. And do feel free to offer suggestions for future videos in the comment section.